Hey, right now I'm doing sit-ups and working on my lower, strengthening my lower back, but I strengthening my front muscles. So by strengthening my front abs that are very weak, you hear me make noises. I'm going to help my lower back muscles, which are very weak. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be discussing a very important topic. So let me type it in. And the topic is about, it's called ADOS. We'll tell you what the terms mean in a second. FBA, CIVIL, AFRICANAMER. And we can really say from 1615 to 2025. And the title of this is basically ADOS stands for African Descendants of Slavery. Africans who were stolen, brought over to this land by means that were not our own. My mom, my ancestors, all who are dead and gone, are. I'm the remnant of it. I'm the last, oldest son of my mother, Maria Elaine Perry Howie, second born son of my father, Henry Ellison Howie Sr. He's had many children from many women, so his legacy will not never die because his kids are having kids and their kids are having kids. I have no kids, so and I made a willful decision not to produce any because of the issues of slavery on the effect of how I was raised and how my mother was raised and how she died at the age of 49 from really a bad upbringing from her mother and her mother's mother. And then, of course, not knowing who her biological father was and her father's father and her father's 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 father. Bottom line is that the slavery or Deuteronomy 28 curse has been on my people for a long time. And one of the issues that a lot of people try to do in America is they try to act like it doesn't exist. About 5 or 7 years ago, there was a movement called basically to take African history out of colleges, right? And out of high school, okay? And it was a movement by Europeans that were, and I'm talking loud, but I can talk lower. My mic is really good. It was a movement by Europeans that basically are saying we don't want to talk about civil war. Now, the civil war is the last thing America talks about, but it's the most powerful. Why? Because it really is what made America America. Before the Civil War, you had the North and the South, and the southern states, which had slavery, and the northern states that did not. And it was the southern states that I'm a part of, North Florida, which is half of Florida. The first top half of Florida, southern. The bottom half is northern. But I came from North Florida, Jacksonville. My mother came from North Florida. My father came from North Florida. My grandfather came from North Florida. Jacksonville was the lowest, I would say, southern city in the state of United States. There is a movement that's going on right now that is very profound, and it's the ADOS FBA movement. This movement is right now transforming lives and making people aware of who they are. And the issues are very profound. And so, as I'm doing sit-ups right now and discussing this, I'll be able to explain it. You'll see a lot of people on YouTube discussing this, and it's very profound. And I'm really proud to talk about it. So, got about 20 more sit-ups to go. Give me a couple seconds. So it's good for stretching. Yeah, baby. So let me close the door. 1 second.
I got this hour. I got.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to turn around.
Oh, you don't got to, man. I'm faster than you.
No, I got. I'm right here.
Okay. So right now the issue is going on is very profound because it's affecting lots of people. Now, ADOS is a term called American Descendants of Slavery, people who have been basically classified as whose ancestors have been brought over from Africa. Well, of course, my ancestors go back to 1615. We go back to Charleston, South Carolina. That's where my family came in at. Fortunately, going to ancestry.com, they can tell you by your DNA exactly where you're from. A lot of people learn about the history right now, which is awesome. So half my family comes out of Nigeria, Ghana, I've got Liberia, got South Africa, Johannesburg particularly, and so because of the statistics, now you can actually know where you were. My mother, may she rest in peace, she never knew where she was from. She always wanted to know where her family came from, because in America they just called us black or Negro or Nigger word or all those horrible words. But when you know where you're from, you know where you can go. It's like I said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So there's a movement that's happening right now in 2025 that I've blown away as, because my mother's, my grandfather, may they all rest in peace. They they grew up in a time where they had to deal with severe segregation and slavery. My family comes out of Macon, Georgia. Macon, Georgia is right down the street from Atlanta, and Macon was the capital of Atlanta. Y'all may not know. Yeah, it was the capital of Atlanta. Milledgeville and Macon. Then it moved to Terminus. Terminus is with another word called Atlanta. That's where the word Atlanta comes from, because it was a terminal for all the trains that came in across the South from Texas all the way up going north. So what's happening is a lot of younger kids, they have decided that, let me go back. What all started this was the Essence Fest. We had an Essence Fest in New Orleans, Louisiana, about 2 months ago. It's a very popular festival that they have for black people to come. It's been going on since 1995. Well-to-do, educated black folks. It's kind of like our Mardi Gras. You know what I'm saying? A black version of Mardi Gras. When I grew up, we had Freaknik. Freaknik was here in Atlanta, which was it started off right. It started off right in the '80s as a picnic and for black people that went to Morehouse, that went to college just like we did. Spelman Morehouse started it, right? HBCU, and then it went off into the left, and then of course we got off into my hip hop and everything else. Well, for everybody else, they went to in 1995 when Freaknik was coming down. They went to the Essence Festival. Black women were going to Essence, and it was a big thing for black sisters to be loving Essence. Well, the Essence lady who owned Essence, she sold her business that she had for millions of dollars to get, because she's dying, she's getting ready to pass. So she said, I'm just going to sell my business and get my money and give it to the next generation. Well, she sold it to Sundial Brands. Sundial Brands is a business that makes shea moisture, like the cocoa butters, all the different things that black folks use. A lot of people don't know this, but it's owned by a Liberian brother who's from Liberia, very educated, well-educated black Liberian. And he then bought the Essence properties and Essence Ventures from the black lady who built Essence. Now, Essence was a magazine for black women. It was their black women magazine to give black women a face, because everybody's seen white women and they're just tired of always seeing white women. So they wanted to make something for us. It was Jet, Ebony, Jet, Black Enterprise. These are all big time magazines back in my day. So they had the Essence Festival because the Liberian, who I'm African. I'm proud to be both. I'm African and African American. I have family in both continents. Okay, I can go back and forth, no problem. But some folks never been to Africa before, so they don't know, because they never seen it, never stepped on the soil to understand that what's happening is, it's biblical. But anyway, So the guy, we'll talk about that later. So the guy from the Mr. I forgot his name. I got to give his name. 1 second. I don't want to give you a misquote. President of Sundial Brands. Okay, his name is, he has a very interesting name. Richelieu, Richel, Richelieu, Lieu. I know that's a very, very interesting name. It's like some people call it Richelieu or Richelieu. Last name is Dennis, Dennis. Well, he took over as the chairman of the board for Sundial. Well, he then bought the business from a Kenyan black woman who bought Essence. Well, no, she wasn't. No, she was a. He bought it from a black woman from Essence. He then put a beautiful Kenyan who was vice president of diversity and inclusion at Target. Well, she is a from Kenya, and she basically took over the Essence Ventures. Well, the Essence Ventures, of course, is the situation of having the, I guess we call it the calm before the storm. They decided we're going to try to merge Jamaican, African, American, and African culture together. Now, for all of us that know, Africa has over 61 nations and thousands of tribes, and every tribe has a different culture. So there's not one Africa, there's 1,000 Africas, depending on what part you're from. Different languages, because the Europeans broke Africa up in many different 61 different nations, but then they broke up we also were very tribal. So that means that there is, if you remember the time of Shaka Zulu, you probably seen the movie Shaka Zulu. If you haven't seen it, you need to look him up. Powerful brother. Man, wow. Anyway, if you've probably all seen Roots. Well, Roots is America, coming from Shaka Zulu experience of people being taken out of Africa, brought on the boats, brought to America. Well, a lot of Americans have not forgiven Africa because they felt, because some Africans did sell us into slavery. So a lot of Americans feel like Africans sold us in slavery. So I'm currently at a rehab home where the owner is from Africa, from Nigeria, and I'm African American, but I also speak Nigerian as Igbo, Yoruba, and also Zulu, as well as some what we call Somali, a couple languages. But the point of the matter is, most people don't, because they haven't studied their African history. So what ended up happening was the owner of Sundial Brands decided to have what's called a cook-off. Now, every time at Essence Festival, one thing black folks love to do is eat. That's us. We love to eat some food. If it's, and you know, in Louisiana, it's Creole, it's jambalaya, it's chicken, it's beignets. I mean, it's all these different kinds of foods, which is the way African Americans show love, is they show love through food, right? Problem is the food is killing us, causing diabetes and high blood pressure, but that's a separate message for a different day. But what ended up happening was the educated black women that go to Essence got mad because the owners that are now African from Africa decided to have a cook-off between jambalaya. If you're American and you've been to Louisiana, you know what jambalaya is. It's rice and shrimp and all these Cajun flavors. Versus in Africa, it's jollof. Jollof and jambalaya are exactly the same. They just taste a little different. But if you've never ever been to Africa, you don't know how big jollof is. A lot of stuff that we eat comes from over there, or back and forth. There's a lot of Cajun dishes that Africans eat, and a lot of African dishes that we eat, and of course a lot of Jamaican dishes that we eat, and of course you got South America. I mean, just all around. So they actually, what they did, which was wrong, was they put jollof on top of it. They made like a banner, and they put the word jollof in big letters, and then they put jambalaya in tiny letters. Well, guess what happened? A lot of African people said, "Oh, I'm talking African Americans." They said, Heck no. How dare you? Because that was like a slight on African Americans. A lot of African Americans felt angry because they felt like you're attacking our culture. You're attacking black people's culture. And we only 50 million out of almost 400 million in America. So we're not that big. We're less than 13% of the population. There's more Hispanic people than African people. So what ends up happening is the African descendants of slavery, or ADOS, or the Foundational Black Americans, FBA, which is a new term now that we have come up with to say that if you've been born in the United States, your mom was born here, your family's traced back to 1615 or later, you are a foundational Black American. If you're a person that migrates over here, like a lot of my beloved Africans, they come with money and they come to Africa and they move in and they start buying businesses and they start owning stuff. You are an immigrant. You don't speak African Ibana. You don't speak our language. You haven't lived 20, 30, 50, 100 years here. So you don't know some of the issues that black people have dealt with as of slavery, as of segregation, as of Jim Crow, not just Jim Crow only, but Jim Crow today in 2020, George Floyd, Breonna Daniels, all the murders that we have of black men getting shot in the street, which we all know every day. When we get put over by a cop, we all already know what to watch out for. So as a person that's grown up in America, I know this, but an African coming from Africa 10 years ago, they don't know it and they don't want to know it. So what's happening now is there's a battle between Africans and African Americans, and those that are in the know, especially those college guys like myself, we are aware of it because a lot of Africans were going back to Africa. There was a big movement to go back to Africa to find our roots. We call it Pan-Africanism. And a lot of blacks were like, I'm going to go back to Nigeria. I'm going to go find my roots. Problem is, when you go back to Nigeria in 2026, in 2027, you go into a place that has been racially destroyed by Europeans since the 1500s. So it's not the same. You have to go back and study your history, which is in the textbooks, which is in the libraries, and then get that knowledge in your mind before you go over there, because you get very disappointed when you find out that you make more money as an American in poverty than of Africans in Africa. An average person that makes $17,000 a year is richer than probably 75% of Africans that live in Africa. That's the reason why a lot of Africans that have money are coming to America. Why? Because they can't make it in their own homeland, because the Europeans are still robbing, stealing, looting, taking the oil, taking the natural resources. Today it's lithium batteries for the Tesla cars. Tomorrow it's going to be something else. But why is that? Well, Deuteronomy chapter 28, okay? And if you understand the history and you learn your history, you get to go into understanding what's happening in today's world. So I wanted to put that in the blog because I've been around and I didn't understand it until I was in college. I said, why don't Africans that are immigrants, that are from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Senegal, from Namibia, from Kenya, from Uganda, from Rwanda, from Sudan, why don't they talk to African Americans from Brooklyn, from Detroit, from California, from Compton? Why? Because they can't relate. So, and also they've been taught white supremacy by white people, so they look down on African Americans. That's why whenever you meet an African that's from Africa, they don't treat you the same. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Hello. You were talking to me?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I thought I heard you said something about jollof. You said jollof?
I was talking to you too.
Jollof is a rice. It's like jambalaya. The difference is jollof is from Africa, jambalaya is from Louisiana, New Orleans. You never had jollof before?
Yeah, I've had.
You've had jambalaya. If you're from America, I know you know what jambalaya is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big thing in Africa. Like matter of fact, sorry, I was a guy here has asked me about Jollof. You heard me talking. It's a big thing in America because Jollof is like jambalaya in America is like fried chicken, right? If you have jambalaya, you know it's like fried chicken, collard greens, hot neck bones, chitlins. All these are black dishes that we all grew up under, right? Well, over in Africa is jollof, and there's different. There's a Nigerian jollof. There's a Liberian jollof. Every country in Africa got their own version of jollof. So when someone says, "Oh, I love me some jollof," that's a huge statement, right? But if you've never been to Africa, you wouldn't know. You'd be like, okay. So that's what a lot of African Americans are saying. They're like, I don't want no jollof rice. I want jambalaya. Right? So it's funny, but it's serious. But because these people like are going to war off of the rice, man. They're going to war off the rice. So, but why is that so important? Well, it's so big because I have a lot of African friends, but I got a lot of African American friends too. And I'm not, I don't, I talked to them. I said, you know, what's going on is really serious right now. Like, you know that some African Americans don't like Africans, and you know some Africans don't like African Americans, and they're like, you're right. So ADOS, FBA, what's happening in 2025, and you can look on YouTube and see this all on YouTube. Just go on hashtag ADOS, go hashtag ADOS, or hashtag 2025 Essence Festival. And you'll see the hundreds of stories on YouTube right now. Why is this big? Because for our kids, man, for our future, you know. If the white man has his way, he's gonna make Africans hate African Americans, and the rich African Americans hate Africans. Do you know out of the whole the whole world, African Americans are the richest Africans in the world? We have how many trillion? Alexa, what's the purchasing power of African Americans in the United States?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Okay. Alexa, what is the GDP of African Americans in the United States?
From PewResearch.org. In 2022, black households had the lowest median income out of all racial and ethnic groups in the United States.
True.
$52,860, according to the Census Bureau.
True. So I just asked my computer, and it said African Americans have the lowest rate of salary in the whole United States. Of course we do. We only 13% of $52,000 a year. So that is lower than every other race in the United States. But check this out. Even though we make the lowest as a whole in the United States, 52,000 a year. That's like $30 an hour, something like that. Even though we only make that much compared to an African from Africa, let's ask. I'm gonna tell you, I know the answer, but I'm gonna let the computer tell me. So I got backup proof. Alexa, what is the GDP of Africans in Africa?
In January 2023, South Africa's GDP was $380,700,000,000 US dollars.
Okay, let me see. Alexa, what is the entire GDP for the continent of Africa?
From Statista.com. As of 2023, the GDP of Africa was estimated at roughly $3.1 trillion US dollars.
How much is that per hour?
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I asked the computer what the information was. She said she don't got an answer for that. Well, guess what? It's online. The average African in Africa makes roughly $10 a month. $10 a month in our dollars. $10. So if you're making $10 a month, How much is that a year? $100 a year? That ain't nothing. In America, the average person makes 52,000 or $30 an hour. They make $52,000 a year. So our GDP, our money, that's why white people want us. We love to buy stuff. We love cars. We love gold. We love jewelry. We love deaf music. We spend so much money making everybody else wealthy. Okay. And so if African Americans don't help Africa, Africa doesn't get out the crap hole they're in. And if African Americans don't go to Essence, Essence don't make any money. So what's going on is that Rich Lou from Sundial Brands is in a shock because black women, and we're talking in the thousands, they said, I am not going to Essence. Now Essence has all these great acts, hip hop artists. They had Erica Badu. Erica Badu came. No, it wasn't Erica Badu. It was the Fugees. Fugees, the girl, Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill sung at the Lauryn Hill is very famous from my generation. If you don't know who Lauryn Hill is from Fugees, Wyclef Jean, you didn't grow up in the 90s. But anyway, Wyclef, all them. Strum My Pain with a Finger. She did Roberta Flack's song. She covered it so well, it was outstanding. Anyway, she sung at 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning because they were so behind and putting on acts that the women said, I ain't gonna stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning or Saturday night to hear her sing. Again, black folks, we love music, right? So that's why Essence is so powerful, because it's a festival, a music festival. Everybody know that. So that money, that total money that we make, that we spend, the stuff that we buy, people get rich off of us. Everybody knows that in every city of America, there's always a poor Martin Luther King Boulevard. But guess what? There's always a Chinese, Japanese, or Asian store. That store makes so much money off of us. It puts their kids through Harvard and Yale and Princeton. But our kids don't get to go there because our kids don't have the jobs to get the money to go there, right? Our parents don't have that money. Again, this is a very complex situation. It's something that can't be fixed in one day. But by you understanding your last 500 years, 1,000 years of history, you can wrap your head around the complexity of this issue, okay?